the fans of Birmingham and Leeds had hoped to be celebrating more than mere survival this year, but difficult campaigns have left them grateful for small mercies. Ravel Morrison may only be on loan, but he's enlivened Birmingham recently. Blues fans will hope for another look at him next season. A blend of youth and experience, City had the better of the first half. Curtis Davis and Hayden Mullins went close in quick succession. Leeds were looking for their third straight win under Brian McDermott, but Ross McCormack's free kick was the best effort they could muster. Instead, Birmingham's age diversity brought them victory. Teenager Nathan Redmond with the shot, Mullins, 15 years his senior, making the most of the rebound. Leeds briefly threatened an equaliser, but Rudy Austin's shot was kept out by Jack Butland. Not the greatest game, not the best of seasons, but plenty for both clubs to build on. Leicester dropping points gave Bolton the opportunity to climb back into the top six. They face Middlesbrough, whose own promotion challenge fizzled out some time ago. And there was no mistake in the side with the momentum here. Craig Davis forced Jason Steele into a flying stop early on. Mido went even closer. He prompted an even better save from Steele, one that the Bolton man could hardly believe. But in terms of stretching credibility, this Chris Eagles opener takes the biscuit. No doubt he'll claim to have been aiming for the far corner, but Borough fans will bemoan Bolton's good fortune. Tony Mowbray's men were soon back in the match. 6 minutes later, Mustafa Carriol swung over the cross. Kieran Dyatt was on the end of it. But the game's turning point came moments later. Eagles slipped in Chung Yong Lee, whose fall looked unnatural. But to Borough's dismay, referee Darren Dedman gave a penalty, identifying Jonathan Woodgate as the culprit. Marvin Sordell scored to give Bolton an 8th consecutive home win. Woodgate was definitely guilty as Borough finished the game with 10 men. A tug on Sordell meant his second yellow card inside 6 minutes. Bolton are back in a playoff place and could secure their participation next week.
If their current form holds, Brighton will take some stopping in the playoffs. Ask Blackpool, who got soundly thumped in the South Coast sunshine. The home side were ahead after just 9 minutes as Will Buckley set the tone. Blackpool just seemed to allow him to run free on his recall. The second arrived after 23 minutes. Blackpool seemed happy to sit back and admire Brighton's sweet passing, and Matthew Upson obliged with his first goal for the club. Time for the deck chairs? Not a bit of it. Just before half-time, it was 3-0. Andrea Orlandi exchanged passes with David Lopez before unleashing an arrowed finish. Blackpool looked sunk. And if they thought their host would ease up on the restart, they were in for a shock. Brighton were only warming up. Another passing pattern set up Lopez for number 4, 1 minute into the second half. And still the goals kept coming, all scored by Brighton players, including this full-blooded header by Dean Hammond at the wrong end. But far from being thrown off course, Gus Poyet's team found another gear. Kazenga Lualua looked to be going in circles in the shade, until he suddenly earned himself some space, and Ashley Barnes, on his return from his 7-match ban, was on hand to make it 5-1, equalling Brighton's best win of the season. Still, they weren't finished. Orlandi's cross, fired in hard and low in the final minute, was tucked in by Barnes. 6-1, the biggest victory seen at the Amex. These Seagulls don't follow trawlers, they're after promotion.
Turner. Actually up by Shackle. And thundered goalward. It rippled the top of the net from Gested. Fell fortuitously his way, and he gave it plenty. Fed forward for Conway, who can worry long. Conway's delivery. Grant threw up an arm and nicked it behind. Kim. Conway. Conway! Oh, terrific goal! Craig Conway with the goal of a champion, a would-be champion. Splendidly shaped strike. And this Premier League team in waiting has a goal of top quality. Just another one. Urgent times for Sean Dyche. How Burnley need a goal, and Vokes has won a header, and Ings got a touch, and Marnie went to ground. And it is he who is going to have his name taken. Desperate attempt to win a penalty that Burnley so need. And Marnie's clear assertion is that there were no histrionics here, and that Gunnarsson had a bit of him. And there is contact. Patterson. Chance! Ings denied by a terrific stop by David Marshall. Barely worked at all day. And then one called upon, face to face with Danny Ings. David Marshall has thrown up a hand and produced a great stop. Trippier with the long throw, Turner away. Trippier to re-deliver. Chance, goal! Massive goal, David Edgar! A point potentially of salvation for Burnley. Delivered by Trippier, and Edgar was there to steal a vital equaliser. A goal of vast importance from the Canadian. It might be the goal that keeps them up, come the final adding up. He only needs this point to be champions. Champions! It is a Cardiff coronation. They are taking the classy route to the Premier League. Promoted on Tuesday, crowned Kings of the League on Saturday. The top team in the English Football League is Welsh. It is Cardiff City, for whom this point secured by Craig Conway's excellent first-half goal is enough to ensure they will finish top. Final score at Turf Moor on a celebratory day for Cardiff City. Burnley 1, Cardiff 1.
Dean Saunders called for another show of real character to follow that excellent result at Hull on Tuesday, but it was Charlton who started the brighter at the Valley, with Ricardo Fuller's snapshot testing Doris de Vries early on. With 9 first-team players injured or suspended, Wolves were second best in a disjointed first half, but they very nearly went ahead through Carl Henry's superb 40-yarder. Charlton keeper Ben Hamer's blushes spared by the upright. As scrappy a goal as you've seen all season came midway through the second half, when Dorian De Veit took advantage of some woeful defending from a corner. But just 3 minutes later, Roger Johnson flicked on an unbelievably long throw from Jack Robinson, and Kevin Doyle headed beyond Hamer and in off the posts. At this stage, a point would see Wolves move out of the bottom 3, but Charlton were to land one final cruel blow. After a slick move down the left-hand side, Robinson did well to block Danny Green's initial effort, but there was John Obika in precisely the right place to fire home. Charlton still have an outside chance to make the playoffs. Wolves drop back into the bottom 3. So while 4th placed Brighton enjoyed 3 points and a welcome boost to their goal difference, 5th played 6th at Selhurst Park, with both promotion contenders playing their part in a terrific game of football. Matty James came very close to heading past his own goalkeeper, but Kasper Schmeichel was equal to it. And soon after, another Stephen Dobbie free kick was headed in by Danny Gabidon. A first goal in 482 painful minutes for Palace, and Gabidon's first in 8 years. After one win from their last 10, Leicester are in danger of missing out on the playoffs, but there was no sign of anxiety when they drew level 11 minutes later. Lloyd Dyer's cross ended a slick passing move, expertly finished by Andy King. Palace were showing the cutting edge that they'd lacked in a run of 5 games without a goal. Dobbie's free kicks were a constant threat. This one almost led to Alex Marrow giving them the lead going into the break. The theme continued in the second half, yet another Dobbie set piece delivered to perfection. This time Aaron Wilbraham beat Schmeichel, but not the crossbar. Dobby has won 2 championship playoffs while at Blackpool, then Swansea, and he could yet manage a third with Ian Holloway's side. He showed his value to Palace with a superbly taken goal midway through the second half, curling a delightful effort past Julian Speroni. While the cameraman clearly struggled to keep up with an end-to-end game in South London, Palace always looked likely to concede another goal. When Damien Delaney lost his footing, Chris Wood was given a clear run on goal, and the New Zealander drilled in his 20th of the campaign. It finished honours even at Selhurst Park, still all to play for in the race for the playoffs. After starting the season with 7 straight defeats, Peterborough are making a strong finish in their bid for survival. They were 10 games unbeaten going into this one, but were on the back foot from the first whistle at Pride Park. Derby's Craig Bryson finally managed to break through shortly before the break. The Rams totally dominant throughout the first half. 2 goals in 3 minutes shortly after the restart gave Derby the 3 points they needed to preserve their championship status. First, Chris Martin doubled the lead with a neat turn and left-footed finish, before Richard Keogh rose highest to meet Craig Forsyth's flick-on from Derby's 16th corner of the afternoon. Just after the hour mark, Dwight Gale burst clear and just recovered from a heavy touch to beat Frankie Fielding to the ball. Referee Mark Hayward had no choice but to send off Derby's young keeper for a professional foul. And his replacement Adam Legzdins couldn't quite get to fellow substitute Grant McCann's well-taken penalty. Still, it never really looked like being anything other than a comfortable Derby win, though Gale was unlucky to have a well-taken goal ruled out for offside. Derby are now safe, and goal difference keeps Peterborough's heads above water for now.
The worst goal difference in the Championship saw Huddersfield start the day in the relegation zone. That pressure brought the best out of the Terriers, who outplayed Millwall. Jermaine Beckford was at the centre of things. He forced a save out of David Ford early on. Jack Hunt was unable to turn in the rebound. Blink and you'll miss Millwall's best moment. James Henry curling a free kick onto the woodwork. It was a bad day for the Lions, and for Danny Shitu in particular. He decided to take his time when he didn't have any. Beckford robbed him before curling home the perfect finish. A show-stopping goal from a man dubbed unstoppable by Mark Robbins. Huddersfield showed greater energy throughout and almost added a second before the break. Hunt denied by Ford's save. The Lions keeper had his work cut out. There was no subduing Huddersfield's front two. James Vaughan was running Beckford close for man of the match. Vaughan then doubled the Terriers' lead 10 minutes into the second half. Adam Clayton played the pass for the Norwich loanee to score his 10th goal of the season. Huddersfield are now 3 points clear of the drop zone and only 1 behind Millwall. The Lions have games in hand, but will have to do a lot better than this. The irrepressible Beckford finished them off with his 4th goal in 3 games.
Stockdale finds Brady. Here is Robbie Brady, looking for goal. Well, he's found the net recently, Robbie Brady, with goals in recent victories over Middlesbrough and Ipswich on the last 2 weekends. Support here from Mailer. Quinn. Plenty in the middle, and arriving late there was Geddo. Just over from the Hull striker, Fryatt. Boyd missed it. You can hear the howls of derision. Here's Adoma. It's Albert Adoma! Straight at Stockdale. And it all stems from Hull City not retaining possession. If this ends in a draw, which at the moment is looking probable, and if Watford lose and Crystal Palace fail to win, then Hull will go up. Boyd. Mailer! What a save from Heaton. One-handed. The Bristol City goalkeeper denies Hull City a dream result. Mailer, who starts the move. Little touch on from Boyd. But Tom Heaton was there. And it remains 0-0.
Any Forest fans who'd been dreaming of box office draws like Chelsea and Liverpool will be worried. Their playoff ambitions have stalled in April, and Barnsley frustrated them even more. That header by Henry Lansbury was the first of 4 Forest efforts to hit the woodwork. The other obstacle, though, was the brilliance of Barnsley keeper Luke Steele. That save from Billy Sharp was typical. It was one-way traffic towards the visitors' goal, but Steele would not be beaten. Andy Reid's cross met powerfully by Lansbury, even more so by Steele. And then when Forest teed up Reid, who did get a shot past him, there was a post in the way. Billy Davies must have feared it wasn't going to be his side's day. Possession, penetration, but not a goal to show for it. Elliott Ward's cushioned header, Sharp's thunderous volley, onto the post again. Barnsley were hanging on, grateful for an unexpected point, and they got it. Reid's left boot tormented them for one final time, but Sharp's header still couldn't break the deadlock. Forest now haven't won in 5 games in April. Their final match against Leicester looks like being decisive. With 38 years in management between them, Mick McCarthy and Dave Jones will hope next season continues their record of success. For now, this one's about ensuring a place in the Championship. Ipswich are almost there, and only Danny Pugh prevented Tommy Smith from marking his 100th appearance. Pre-match, McCarthy's team with the division's form side, and that run looked like being extended. Wednesday's defence didn't read Carlos Edwards' long throw, so J Tab kept it simple. His first goal for the club. And Ipswich almost had another minutes later. Wednesday's defence was caught flat-footed, and Luke Hyam had Chris Kirkland at full stretch. The home side, teetering just above the bottom 3, nearly forced an equaliser just before half-time. Leroy Leiter brought the best out of Scott Loach, and when Anthony Gardner shot goalwards, Smith was on hand to clear. But Wednesday and Leiter weren't denied for long. Lewis Buxton's raking cross fell perfectly, and in went goal number 5 in 15 appearances. Leiter then thought he'd scored number 6. Jeremy Elan did the hard work. The striker made his role look easy, but an official's flag ruled him offside. By the end, Wednesday were again indebted to Danny Pugh. Aaron Cresswell's throw-in was flicked on by Frank Nouble, and yet again Pugh was in the right place at the right time to secure an important point.
Chalobah. This time it's Abdi providing the width, and he's allowed to move in field. Forestieri with the shot, and the first save for Gregor Sandomierski. First real constructive move from Watford. But here's Chalobah. Pudil. Deeney's the target. Great save by Sandomierski. Blackburn struggled to get the ball clear, and it's a goal kick in the end. And the young Polish goalkeeper really excelling there. Chalobah. David Jones this time indulging in the wrestling. 2 falls, a submission and a free kick to Watford. Forestieri. Deeney lurking on the edge of the area, and here is Deeney! At last, a moment of quality, and it's Watford who capitalise. Troy Deeney with his 17th goal of the season, and it was absolutely typical, turning away from the defender, and the finish was razor sharp. Now Jones. And Rhodes spreading the play to Olsen. Best was the target inside the area. And Dunn will keep this ball in play. It's another dangerous ball in, and it was Jordan Rhodes with the header too high. First real sight of goal he's had inside the area. And there is the danger for Watford. Dunn able to dig out the cross, and Rhodes on this occasion unable to find the target. It's Blackburn who can break with King. Rhodes waiting inside the area, but King carrying the ball too long. Deeney. Forestieri. Udall in support to his left, but he goes down the centre. Fedini! 2 for Watford, 2 for Dini. And they're determined to keep up the pressure on Hull City for as long as they can. The same combination as the first goal, the assist from Forestieri. And Troy Dini with a finish which was ice cool. Passive movement eventually comes to an end, but it's quickly re-established. Forestieri. Abdi was onside, and Abdi finds the finish. And all the party pieces coming out for Watford now. Lovely scoop into the penalty area from Forestieri. And Abdi able to roll his man and almost casually find the roof of the net. Udall. Chalobah. Anya the target. Dini looking for the hat-trick, and it's an important challenge from Dan, but the shot driven back in from Anya, and it's a corner in the end. But the Watford attack all going through Troy Dini, and Anya's shot, and what a save that is from the goalkeeper. Rukic with the clearance, only finding a Watford player, and it's Briggs who makes it 4. Pretty much Matthew Briggs' first touch, and it's now become a rout. And Blackburn not dealing with the corner at all. Rekic's clearance falling straight to Briggs, who finished like a striker through the legs of the goalkeeper. Some of the football Watford played in the second half has been worthy of the side, pushing for promotion. As Blackburn give it away again, and here's Dini looking for the hat-trick, and it's Dan with the block, and he must be wondering, Scott Dan, what on earth is happening in front of him. Dunn and Jones presenting it on a plate to Troy Dini. Blackburn have been a shambles at times in this second half. Owen Best has gone down, clutching at his knee, and that will be a concern to Blackburn fans following his injury problems, as Pudil is then caught late by Kane, who apologises. And there's a late problem here, which has been caused by confrontation between Leon Best and Marco Cassetti. This was the challenge, and you can see the studs from Cassetti onto the knee of Best. And behind the referee's back, you can see Cassetti and Best. And Best there, putting his face into the face of Cassetti. How much contact there was, I'm not too sure, but the assistant referee may have seen it. It's a yellow card for Cassetti, and it's a red card for Leon Best. And a frustrating afternoon for him ends with a 3-game ban, which could really damage his side's hopes of avoiding relegation. Just when Gary Bowyer thought the day couldn't get any worse, Leon Best with that headbutt into the face of Cassetti. And there's an embrace between the two managers, Zola and Bowyer, but there's no question, as the full-time whistle goes, who will be the happier. Watford rediscovering their form. 2 goals early in the second half from Troy Dini, the third from Abdi at Vicarage Road. It's finished Watford 4, Blackburn Rovers 0.
With Brentford and Doncaster slipping up, what a day for Bournemouth. Steve Cook's 25th minute header put Eddie Howe's side on their way to the Championship. Carlisle arrived unbeaten in their previous 6 and they posed a real threat. Before the break, Rory Loy rattled the woodwork, and 5 minutes after it, the Cumbrians were level. Former Aberdeen striker Lee Miller is out of contract this summer, and a spectacular finish won't harm his negotiating position. That was his 6th goal in 7 games. But the visitors were only level for 6 minutes before Harry Arter strode forward and fired past Mark Gillespie. Jubilation around the Gold Sands as a record 8th successive win lifted the Cherries to the top of the table, and more importantly back to the 2nd tier for the first time since 1990. Brett Pitman rounded off the occasion, scoring in an 8th consecutive game to launch the promotion party. Colchester kicked off 5 points clear of the relegation zone. Shrewsbury were all but safe. That enabled Graham Turner to make 6 changes, and David McAllister marked his recall by warming the hands of keeper Sam Walker. Joe Dunn described the U's performance as lacklustre. Gavin Massey was unable to finish here, and the draw means the Essex men go to Carlisle on the final day, still fighting for survival. After last week's defeat at Crawley, Coventry boss Stephen Pressley made 4 changes, and Danny Philliskirk was only denied a goal on his debut by Nathan Clark's intervention. Another clean sheet for Orient. Their recent improvement came too late to affect the playoff standings, but they left with a 3rd win in 4 outings, courtesy of Dean Cox.
Doncaster began the weekend as strong favourites for automatic promotion, but after Dean Leacock squandered a good early chance for Notts County, it was the away side who deservedly took the lead. Josh Labadie's magnificent 30-yarder arrived after 14 minutes, his first since he returned from a loan spell at Torquay. Doncaster had been top for almost 8 weeks, but they failed to slip into their usual rhythm. This James Coppinger shot cleared away by Jeff Hughes, their best effort of a lacklustre first half. And after the break, it was top scorer Billy Painter, who returned to form with 2 goals at Crewe last weekend, who was denied at the near post by Magpies defender Christian Pearce. Donny even threw veteran keeper Neil Sullivan forward late on, but this setback means they'll need to avoid defeat in the automatic promotion showdown with Brentford next Saturday.
Hodgson again to Shailene Logan. And Hodgson's cross, and there's Trotter and Wright Phillips. And Reeves tries to place one, and the goalkeeper just about turns it over the top. First save there for Scott Flinders. Turned over the top just about. Now Logan. Ooh, Logan's pass is poor. Here's Luke James in towards Monkhouse, too high for him. And Baldwin's shot off the line. Comes out to James again. Oh, and James has scored. Teenage kicks. It's a dead kicked in Brentford's promotion push. And Luke James has scored for Hartlepool United. They might be down, but here they are dealing a huge blow to Brentford, and they're bid for a top 2 finish. And the ball in towards Trotter, and Douglas, oh what a save! Flying save there by Flinders. Here's Wright Phillips, Hodgson, Marcello Trotter takes, turns. Trotter still, oh, he's equalised with a wonderful finish. Marcello Trotter has beaten Flinders, whose outstanding save was in the end in vain. Now Douglas again for Brentford, long into the feet of Trotter. Oh, and then a high boot from Walton here. Now what card's coming? It's going to be yellow, but it looked on first viewing there to be a pretty vicious one. That's a shocker, isn't it? That's proper Bruce Lee stuff. We're going to see coming on Farid El Alagoui for Brentford. Trotter on here, and here goes Tom Adeyemi. Adeyemi's in here, and the shot stings the hands of Scott Flinders. In behind there for a moment, wasn't he there, Tom Adeyemi, played in by Marcello Trotter. Adeyemi got the strike on target at least. Only a maximum 6 points from 2 games can save Scunthorpe, and just before half-time they got the type of break that can turn a season. Jimmy Ryan got away from Darren Potter, and Carl Hawley's positioning as much as his footwork gave his side a crucial lead with his 3rd goal in 6 games. In the second half, like the first, United's goalkeeper Sam Slocum was the star, keeping the Dons at bay. Here first saving from Potter, and then Patrick Bamford's header in the follow-up. In fact, the home side added grateful themselves to a post as Anthony Ford almost doubled Scunthorpe's advantage. Their battle to avoid the drop goes to the final game at home to Swindon.
Matt Smith's goals had secured back-to-back victories for Oldham, and the man who'd scored against Liverpool and Everton in the FA Cup set the Latics on the way to a win that would end any lingering worries about relegation. Mind you, this one didn't turn out to be the winner. Republic of Ireland under-21 international Mark Connolly levelling up for Crawley with just the 2nd senior goal of his career. A point would have been sufficient to effectively guarantee safety, but in stoppage time Jean-Yves Mvoto grabbed the winner, and when it really mattered, the Oldham players have produced the goods.
This was a day for Portsmouth to celebrate. Ashley Brown from the Supporters Trust and Ian McInnes, the new club chairman, took their bows before kick-off. And the players only added to the mood of euphoria with a whirlwind first-half performance. Sean Cooper's towering header marked the first goal of the new regime. 3 minutes later, there were more celebrations among the bumper crowd. Jed Wallace crossed and David Connolly swooped at the near post. All those months of uncertainty and distress were being blown away in a blitz of goals. And with barely half an hour gone, the same combination were at it again. Connolly to Wallace, and Sheffield United were beaten. Portsmouth feel they're on the up, even if they know they're going down. For so long, the division's pace setters, Rovers, are stumbling towards the finish, only just in the top 10. One of their former players, John Welsh, almost increased their pain, only to see his free kick rebound off a post. Preston also rode their luck thanks to the woodwork. Bailey Wright looked to have headed an own goal past Declan Rudd, only for Welsh to spare his blushes on the line. That let-off spurred Preston towards half-time. Joe Garner and Will Hayhurst combined before 19-year-old Jeffrey Monacana was presented with a chance to score his 2nd goal in 2 games. Preston remain unbeaten at home since Simon Grayson took charge.
Swindon went into their final home game knowing victory would extend their season into the playoffs. Midway through the first half, their opener came from an unlikely source. Aidan Flint last celebrated a league goal a year ago, on the day the Robins won the League Two title. The 23-year-old clearly had a taste for some goal action, and he almost had a second before the break, but credit to Stevenage keeper Chris Day, who clawed the ball to safety. But the contest got away from Graham Wesley's team just before the break. Danny Lopez reacted after a clash with Flint and Alan McCormack, and referee Gary Sutton produced a straight red card, though the Spaniard seemed determined to have his say. The Wiltshire side had wobbled with 3 defeats before they put 4 past Crewe in midweek. In the second half, they made the most of their numerical advantage. Gary Roberts smartly shifted the ball to his right side before hitting the top corner of Day's net. Kevin McDonald wants his team to carry some momentum into the playoffs. And when the visitors failed to clear, Darren Ward couldn't make them pay. But Flint did, and Swindon have their top 6 finish.
Walsall sparkling into the season had seen them rack up a 14-game unbeaten run, and after teenager Johnson Clark-Harris went mighty close for bottom club Bury, they opened the scoring in a match that could have kept them in the hunt for the playoffs. A first goal in 13 matches for Fabian Brandy. But with Swindon winning, this game turned out to be of academic interest only. And the same can be said of FA Sodje's equaliser. Sodje one of only 2 substitutes for a cash-strapped Bury side, long since relegated. But it's been a gallant effort from Walsall. Bournemouth's victory meant Yeovil's automatic promotion chances were over, but a first-minute goal created by James Hayter for young defender Joe Edwards set them up for a narrow victory over Crewe. And Yeovil, who made absolutely certain of a playoff place with this win, continued to put together some excellent approach play. Hayter millimetres away from a second goal. Crewe have now lost all 4 games since they won the Johnston's Paint Trophy. And even though Chukwuemeka squandered a great chance to equalise, they needed a terrific goal line clearance by Matt Tootle to avoid a heavier defeat. Luke Ayling, the Yeovil player, denied. Great stuff from the Glovers, who could be hard to beat in the playoffs.
4 points from safety. Aldershot's grasp on League Two looked shaky even before their final home game of a wretched campaign. The Daggers had opportunities to finish them off, but Josh Scott was just too high. The visitors themselves are not yet safe. Jake Reed got away on the left, but a poor touch gave Jamie Young the chance to save, and another opportunity disappeared. It was the Shots who made the decisive breakthrough. Michael Rankin made a nuisance of himself and bundled in the match winner. Despite his celebration, other results left their survival prospects looking more fragile than ever. Young's flying save denied Luke Wilkinson an equaliser, so Dagenham also go to the final day in danger.
As any Bees fan will tell you, Barnet have made life difficult for themselves over the years, so this was a fitting send-off for Underhill. Jake Hyde went close as Barnet kicked downhill for the last time. It was the first half they dominated. Curtis Weston was kept out by Wycombe keeper Matt Ingram. In the second half, Edgar Davids took matters into his own hands, but couldn't break the deadlock either. Even so, you suspect the Dutchman will remember this match as one of the most extraordinary of his career. With 9 minutes to go, Hyde ensured that his name will go into the Barnet history books as the last man to score at Underhill. But when Tom Flanagan brought down Bruno Andrade in the box, that record was under threat, as was the Bees' Football League status. The 94th minute penalty was taken by Joel Grant, but Graham Stack guessed correctly to ensure that Barnet's League Two destiny remains in their own hands. Bradford may yet make a second visit to Wembley this season. The Bantams had goalkeeper John McLaughlin to thank as they confirmed a playoff place. Having already saved Ian Sharp's header, McLaughlin also denied Jacques Mahoma as Burton started well. But some sloppy play at the end of the first half has effectively ended Albion's hopes of automatic promotion. After failing to deal with Ricky Ravenhill's long ball, Burton fell behind to James Hanson's 44th minute goal. The frustration was too much for Lee Bell. He saw red in first half stoppage time for this elbow on Zavon Hines. A 4-game ban rules him out of the playoffs entirely.
With just 1 loss in 7, Accrington have chosen the perfect time to discover their best form. Bristol Rovers, though, have picked up more points in 2013 than anyone else in League Two, and it would take something special to beat goalkeeper Steve Mildenhall. Lee Molyneux's 30-yard free kick was the winger's 6th goal in 8 games. His scoring streak a major reason for Accrington's timely climb away from the bottom 2. Rovers manager John Ward couldn't hide his disappointment at the final whistle, saying the fans had been let down in what should have been a memorable last home game of the season. Young midfielder Ollie Clark came closest for Rovers on his first start, volleying narrowly over. But the day belonged to Stanley. Survival a superb achievement for Liam Richardson's side, who can really enjoy their season send-off at home to Oxford on the final day. So Bradford's win meant Exeter had to beat Cheltenham to stand a realistic chance of sneaking into the playoffs on the final day. But automatic promotion is still a possibility for the Robins, thanks to Russell Penn's smart turn and finish, just 5 minutes in. Jamie Curitan couldn't quite match Tommy Doherty's terrific through ball with the required finish to draw Exeter level. But Cheltenham struggled to cope with substitute Scott Bennett's aerial strength when he came on midway through the second half. One of several excellent Bennett knockdowns teed up Jimmy Curhane, but Scott Brown's tremendous reaction save ended Exeter's slim playoff hopes.
Chesterfield knew their playoff chances were slim even if they won at Fleetwood. But after surviving an early scare when Gareth Evans failed to latch onto a rebound from the keeper Tommy Lee, they took control of the game late in the first half. Armand Nandoué opened the scoring 2 minutes before the break. And it was his knockdown that set up the really top-class finish for the second. And it came from the right boot of Mark Richards. Early in the second half, after a mistake by Liam Cooper, Fleetwood had a chance to cut the deficit, but it was wasted by Jamil Matt. and the stage was set for another truly exceptional goal from Richards. This time it came from his left boot. There was a brief response from Fleetwood when Andrew Mangan raced on to David Ball's well-weighted through pass to score his first goal since August. But in the end, both these sides will finish shy of the playoffs.
So just a point needed for Gillingham to sew up the League Two title, but Barnett's dramatic win meant only 3 points would keep Wimbledon out of the relegation places. It was all going to plan for the Gills when Dion Burton blasted in his 13th of the season, and in a carnival atmosphere at Priestfield, the league leaders looked to be romping to an easy win, especially when former Dons favourite Danny Kedwell headed in his 16th of the campaign. Miles Weston came on at the break, and just as he's done so often this season, immediately took players on, only for the crossbar to stand in the way of a superb solo goal. Wimbledon deserve huge credit for dragging themselves back into the game. They were offered hope when Jack Midson scored his 13th of the season after Charlie Strutton had volleyed in John Meads' deep cross. It was the impressive Meads who'd grabbed what could prove to be a priceless point 8 minutes from time. A slack moment from the Gills' defence let in Midson down the left-hand side, and Meads slotted in from 8 yards. Neil Ardley brought on Gary Alexander as the Dons made one final throw of the dice, and he was a matter of inches away from crashing the party late on. But Gillingham held on to claim only the second championship in their history and first since 1964.
In the absence of regular defenders Andy Parrish and Will Haining, Morecambe gave a full debut to their highly regarded teenager Chris Doyle, but he lasted just 24 minutes. The ref producing the straight red card after Doyle hauled back the rampaging Elliot Benyon. Keeper Barry Roach with the consoling pat, but within 4 minutes it was the goalie who was looking around for sympathy after he let a Stuart Drummond back pass slip under his boot. Morecambe were on the ropes, but they responded well, and a Ryan Williams pile driver of a free kick brought the best out of Michael Polk in the goals goal. To be fair, it was relegation-threatened Torquay who needed the points more, and after Andy Wright gave them a real scare after the break when he hit the base of the post, they broke away to score a superb second. Young striker Ashley Yeoman showing commendable composure to notch the killer goal that provided a first away win in 9 games, and a point next week at home to Bristol Rovers will be sufficient to keep their league status alive.
Oxford were in the mood for their final home game of the season. Dean Smalley and Alfie Potter both went close in the first half. With only 2 home wins in 2013, the Kassam Stadium has become a little edgy in recent weeks. But the quality of the goals here will sustain Hughes fans well into the summer months. Andy Wing's second for the club was one to remember. James Constable is a much more regular goal scorer. Even so, finishes don't come much better than this. A 13th of the season for one of the Yellows' most popular players. Chris Wilder's programme notes said he was determined to prove his doubters wrong. Who knows if he'll get the chance, but this convincing win was a step in the right direction. Potter wrapped things up in injury time.
After their midweek victory at Bradford, Rotherham had automatic promotion back in their sights. They were chasing a 4th win in just 12 days, and Alex Ravel came within inches of the opening goal. The decisive moment came 15 minutes from time, and it left Plymouth still in danger. Kieran Agard on target for a 3rd consecutive game to keep the Millers on course.
Port Vale's final home game of a tremendous season turned out to be a cracker, but Clark Carlisle's early goal for Northampton wasn't the start their fans were looking for. Ahead of the match, Northampton still had a slim chance of automatic promotion, and they played with magnificent intensity. Luke Guttridge desperately unlucky to see his shot rattle against the Port Vale bar. But Vale were unbeaten in 6 matches, and the home fans could virtually touch promotion themselves, especially when Liam Chilvers bravely headed the equaliser from Tom Pope's clever pass forward. And Chilvers was having a storming game for Port Vale. His header cleared away from the Northampton line by Lewis Hornby late in the first half, before Doug Loft was shut out with the follow-up. The entertainment was unrelenting, and the goal of the match arrived 9 minutes past the hour from Northampton's Roy O'Donovan. It was absolutely brilliant. Now it was up to Port Vale to respond one more time, and when Chilvers clipped the ball into the cobbler's box, it was Lee Collins, a former Port Vale player, who turned it past his own keeper. It's congratulations to both sides. Northampton in the playoffs, and Port Vale are promoted, barring a miracle.
York's victory at Northampton last week ensured their destiny was in their own hands as they kicked off a point above the drop zone. And they were off to a flyer as Adam Reed hooked past keeper Daniel Bentley in the first minute. Phil Brown picked up his first win as Southend manager at Aldershot in midweek. He again played Ryan Leonard, who'd needed 7 stitches in a head injury last weekend. But when Freddie Eastwood's shot was deflected, the 20-year-old levelled with that bandaged head. Nigel Worthington had urged his side to seize this opportunity to ensure the club wouldn't make an immediate return to the conference. They restored their lead before the break as Jason Walker's header eventually broke for Matty Blair. His 7th goal of the season won it, though York may still need a point on the final day.